In this video, we are going to be talking about powers of 10. And so we're basically multiplying, dividing things by 100, 1,000, 10, basically a 1 and a bunch of zeros. So what does an exponent of 0 do? So for example, you have something to a 0 power, doesn't matter what that something is, it's going to multiply out, well, it's going to just equal 1 every single time. So kind of makes everything one. All right. Negative exponents. What do negative exponents do? So it makes fractions. If it makes fractions, it AKA turns things into division. Okay, so if you have a 10 to the negative 1, you still have a first power, but you're dividing by that 10. Like if you have 10 to the negative 2, you're still squaring the 10, but you're actually dividing it by that value. Okay, that's really the only difference, which basically you're still squaring the value, you're just now dividing it. So that 10 to the negative 2 actually becomes 1 over 100. Okay, so we have a couple things that we can do. And remember that when you're multiplying by 10 or dividing by 10, you are just moving the decimal around. So it kind of just depends on what it is. So here we're going to move the decimal right 1 because it's moving right based on the number of zeros that you have. So we're going to take that 275. Decimal currently is right there. We're going to move it 1 spot to the right. And we got to fill that gap. So we're looking at 2750. Here you're multiplying by 100. So we're going right 2 places. So 0.18. We're going to go 1, 2 spots to the right. So that's going to get us 18. Multiplying by 1,000. We're taking the 2.4. And we're going 1, 2, 3 spots to the right. So we got to fill some gaps. So we're looking at 2,400. All right. And then this one, you're multiplying by something that's less than. So it's still a multiple of 10, but this is 1/10. So this is moving left 1. So we're going to take 43, decimal should have been here, but we're moving it 1 to the left. So that equals 4.3. All right. This one, 10 to the 5th, is a bunch of 10s multiplied together. So the key to this one is it's that this 10 to the 5th equals a 1 with 5 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 zeros. So you're really multiplying by 100,000, which means we're moving our decimal right 5. All right, so I can actually shortcut that and go, well, if it's 10 to the 5th, that 5 represents how many decimal places I'm moving. So 5.72, we're going to move it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fill, fill, fill. So we're looking at 572,000. All right. Now, if we're dividing is making things smaller. So that means we're going to be moving decimals to the left. Just like here, you were multiplying by something less than 1. It's like dividing. So here you're going to move left 1 because you're dividing. So that 3.14 is going to move it left 1 spot. So we're going to get 0.314. If you're dividing by 100, you're going to move it 2 places because you have 2 zeros. You move it left 2. So 0.48 is going to move back 2 spots. Fill your gap, gaps there. So you got 0.0048. All right. And then we'll just keep doing that on the next two as well. That if it's 1,000, you're going to move one spot. You're going to move left 3 spots. So 20.1 is going to go back 1, 2, 3. And we'll fill a gap here. So your decimal's going to go there. We'll fill a gap. So 0.0201. And then this is, remember that 10 squared. 10 squared is 100. So it's basically exactly the same as that thing. So you're going to be going left 2. So that division tells you you're going left, and then that 2 tells you, the power is telling you that you're going to go left 2. So 0.1, move it back 2 spots, fill the gap. So 0.001. Okay. So what if you are putting some things together? So let me just kind of refresh your memory on some properties of exponents. So if you have a product, which means you have something with a power times the same something, those match, with another power, whether they're the same or not, doesn't matter. What is it that we do? So let's come up with an example to help figure this out. If you have x squared times x to the third, okay, here's how this works. X squared means 2 x's multiplied together. And then times, so there's your 2 multiplied together. X to the third means 3 things multiplied together. So altogether, you have 5 x's. Shortcut of that is, how do you go from 2 to 3 to 5? 2 and 3 to 5, you're going to add them together. So you could take these powers, and if they're multiplied together like that, you can just add them together. All right, so that's your property to it. So one more example. Let's say you have x to the 7th times x to the 10th. I really don't want to write that out. So the shortcut to this is you're going to just, since the bases match, you're going to add the exponents together. 17. All right. Quotient means you have a division problem. Okay, so you're taking something divided by something and the bases match. So what do we do with that? Well, let's do an example. If you have x to the 5th divided by x squared, means x times x times x times x, 5 of them, divided by 2 of them. And the thing on fractions is you're really just looking to simplify it. So 2 of these x's cancel 2 of those x's and leaves you with 3. Well, what could you have done? You could have taken 5 minus 2, and that would get you your 3 as well. So your property is top exponent minus the bottom exponent. All right. Let's do one more example. So let's say you have x to the 10th divided by x to the 3rd. Rather than writing it all out, you're just going to take top minus the bottom. So 10 minus 3 is going to get you a 7. Okay, so you just got to kind of figure out which one you got going on. So here you have a bunch of 10s. It's not a bunch of hundreds, so don't multiply the 10 and the 10 together. It's all about how many, because notice how here, when you do these, we didn't change the base. The base is still x's, so it's going to be x's throughout. So here it's going to still be about how many 10s you have. So we have 10, 5 and 2 make 7. So it's 10 to the 7th. Okay, the base stays the same. Here, you're still adding. It's going to be 10 to a power. -1 and 2, you have more positives than negatives by 1. So it's just 10 to the first, or just 10. Either way is okay how to write it. Here, you have 0 plus 3. So that's 10 to the 3rd. Here, we have a subtraction. And so since it's a division, we're going to subtract it. So we're going to take the top exponent minus the bottom exponent. And 1 minus 3 is -2. Okay, and then one last property. One last property is, this time you're going to have not this look where you're having these multiplied together, but I'm going to take those same numbers and give it a little bit of a different look. And it's called, it's a power to a power. So if you have something that has a power, but then that's raised to its own power, now what do you do? So for example, if you have x to the second cubed. All right, what does that mean? So let's walk through what it means, and then let's see if there's a shortcut to it. Just like here, this is what it meant, but then the shortcut was we just add the exponents together. Okay, so x squared to the third means you have 3x squares multiplied together. Okay, so now here is basically this property all over again. We're going to add our exponents together. So if we add our exponents together, that's going to get us 2 plus 2 plus 2 is x to the sixth. So what's a shortcut to get from this to this, right? The shortcut is you could just multiply your exponents together. So when you have a power to a power, you're really just multiplying your exponents together. Okay, so power to a power, you multiply. When the bases match, you're just adding the exponents. Okay, so here's 3 problems involving that. So we're just going to multiply the exponents. 10 to the sixth. We're going to multiply the exponents. Negative 3 times a 4, you only have one negative, so you don't have another negative to cancel. Negative 12. And then a negative 2 times a negative 3 is a positive 6. All right. And that is base 10 with exponents and a little bit of properties involving exponents.